I'll forget to play it.
Like, and now live from the people who are now upside down from Australia, Jay, and
And in
his
the future.
fantastic wood burning.
I wouldn't say fantastic, but Robbo's not here yet.
I'll tell you from what you were when I first started watching you fumble at the lathe, and it scared me so many times because I've taught, and to watch the way you pick up a tool and go to use it before Robo would say something.
Yep.
It really scared me. So from that to what you're doing now, you know the physics of the tools and the dynamics of the lathe, and I think you're no expert, but I would feel safe with you turning in my shop with my stuff anytime.
All right, cool. I'll be there tomorrow, all right?
Now, if we had a time machine, you'd be very welcome. And I would even give you a 25-pound log or 30-pound log and help you put it on the lathe and make something.
Nice. All right, I'll be there tomorrow, all right? If you hear a knock on your door.
Well, you got a mask. Or if not, I got extra. The kids are back at school, so I buy a box of 50 at a time. So they have something fresh every day.
Yep. What are you making there, Blair?
I don't know.
I'm going to do a little bit of sanding, so I might put Blair on full screen.
Don't put me on, because I'm just screwing around. So
I've been getting out of that scot-free for a couple of days. Don't stuff it up now.
So Jay, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a camera freeze on you and keep freezing?
Sometimes it could come down to the computer it's connected to.
Yeah.
And you had to check the frame rate and like the what are the hertz or whatever it is, the 60, is it 60 hertz you guys run on or 50?
How do you change that?
It should be in the...
That's something I wouldn't know because the camera is all DC. It wouldn't matter.
You see, this is the one that always freezes at this angle.
Yeah.
Well, I have a possible solution, being an old computer geek. No, I don't. I wish I owned one now.
Yeah.
How are you feeding it into your computer? Is it a separate USB or do you have a splitter?
It's designated. It's right into the computer.
And the other one?
My other ones are on a splitter, and they work fine.
Okay, but that isn't. You haven't let me finish. Is it on the same fundamental port as the one you're using?
No.
Because often the interrupts, you understand about interrupts in computers.
Yes.
You know, the camera says, I have a frame. Hello, wake up, take it.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can overload, or the computer software is looking, like in your case, it's looking at your device that actually has the two cameras. Your adapter, and if it's a good adapter, it handles the signals of each camera separately into the computer. And often computers will put USB ports on different buses. Now, in a computer, a bus is basically from the CPU or a controller ahead of it to say which of the USB information is being fed to me. That's the USB controller will do that. Because don't forget, it's like when you were in school, a USB device will raise its hand and says, I have a frame. I have this. Oh, they're talking. And it's the controller has to look at what's coming in and which to take and feed to the CPU, of which from there, of course, the computer handles everything out live. And there is a system that USB ports use, and it's priorities. And they don't tell you that unless you get looking, and it'll say USB port A, and it's 1 and 2. And there you'll actually see two USB jacks, one on top of each other, usually. And what that's doing is it's sort of an intermediary saying that, oh, channel 1, I'm ready for a signal. And then that little double port will say, well, I have something. And then the other will have something. And one overrides 2 in seniority to handle just that frame and pieces of information as it gets into the system. And the same thing the opposite way to the printer. You know, it'll send out a letter to print out that port, but don't forget, it's sending it faster than we can talk about it. So all this is being handled at high speed, but it's still talking and taking what signal goes from where. A camera freezing typically is, it's not high enough up on the chain because your other device that you have that's on a splitter is actually saying, I have something, and then it's saying, I have something else, I have something else between the two inputs back and forth. And it's basically like a traffic cop. So how many USB ports are there on your computer? Two, three, four?
Sorry, I had you on mute. Whoa, how many what?
How many USB ports do you have on your computer?
That are hard in 2, and then
Yes.
I have a big splitter that I have a whole
Right.
bunch of stuff.
If you get a good upper class splitter that actually can process the signals fast enough between each of the cameras, that's a way to go. But if it's a single one, something you might try is take the single camera that keeps freezing and plug that into where the splitter is, and then take the splitter and swap it and put that into the other port that you pulled the camera that's freezing. Software-wise, it doesn't matter because the computer knows it by device IDs that are always sent, that's built in the device.
How you going, Molly? How you going, Chris?
Hi, Marley.
It could
Yeah,
just be the
I've done
priority
that.
that's giving you a problem.
I've done that. I thought maybe plugging it into the splitter was causing some issues or something like that, but it's I don't know. It still does it. Right now, it's actually doing really well. I'm surprised, but it may freeze here in a minute.
There's a comment in the chat for you, Blair. There's a comment in the chat for you, Blair.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. They're actually really fun to make. So hopefully give you some good ideas. Thanks for saying so. I like the feedback.
Well, Bailey, I appreciate that. I try to help people. I know the computer problems that people have. I used to be able to tackle that stuff, but right now I can't afford one. Well, Bailey, what have you been doing today in your shop?
I put a burn ring in here, in this bit here. I don't think it's going to be an urn. It's most probably going to be more like a cookie jar or something the size of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to chop it off there because the screws end just before that. Then I'm not going to have 4 little funnel holes then, am I? If I go down too deep. Still keeps a little bit of bark.
Oh, yeah. That'll be nice.
A little bit there.
What I find when I work with bark like that and inclusions and that, I believe that adds to the natural color and mood of the item that I'm turning.
Yeah.
So I really cherish it. And when it comes to sanding, I'll go out of my way just to sand like the brown on there and not touch the bark at all. Because if you sand over it too much, you'll lose the dark color.
Yes.
Or you'll smooth it off and you won't have any texture. But the light brown that goes around it, often will take that up to 2,000
Yeah.
in order to have it really glisten and show up.
I've only got Yorkshire Grit to go that high. And I was really only sanding this part here to get some of the scratches out that the 80 Grit's putting in it. And right on the edge of the bark here, there was a hole, so I filled it in. And I'm just trying
Right.
to sanding back the little bit of super glue that was sticking out from that.
But your best bet, I have found, in order to, and I could all be wrong, but I sand that by hand, not spinning. When I go to do my final sanding, I sand that with the grain, so I go up and down in that case to go uh, sand it.
Okay.
That's before I use grit or anything because that tends to clean the grain out too.
It doesn't seem to be too bad in that sense. I can just see loads and loads of little scratches that the 80 Grit's left. That's all.
Oh yeah, I go all the way down. I go to two. Actually, I try to go up beyond 220 if I'm well, if on a harder wood than that.
Yeah.
Well, Bailey, what do you use for oil on your cutting boards? I know I have one. I think it's called walrus oil or something. Comes in black can as a paste. It's also as a liquid. And I've been using it for a long time. Not just on the cutting boards here. I use the paste. That can of paste, it's in the kitchen cupboard. Along with the in my house, I keep it in with the tea towels and that it's in the back under the towels. No one ever takes them all out, but I grab it and use it with paper towels and rub it into the wood. Especially after I clean the board up from the kids' pizza party. Sometimes I'll even really cheat and I'll scrape the board down with one of my precious, to me, precious chef's knives. I have a 12 and I keep it with a hone razor sharp. I know when I scrape it down, it isn't anymore, but I like to keep the cutting boards oiled right and all the marks and scratches out of the cutting boards because I don't want the bacteria in it. And it looks nice that way when you can take and rub in the finish. And it's totally food safe. Oh, the Joker's in for us tonight too. Well, that's a good trade. Really good trade. Pre-COVID, a friend of mine used to use my bandsaw and he'd make cutting boards. That was really fantastic and table saw.
How you going, Mike?
Jade, you put a hyperlink in for people that want to join us?
I can do that.
Blair didn't say what he was doing. I think he said he didn't know what he was going to do. So what he's up to is just fiddling around for fun.
Decided I'm gonna make some bud vases.
Oh, good.
Okay. Just something to do. Hey, I'm gonna quit here in a minute and go upstairs, but you know, I get very little time to be out on my lathe, and you know, because my wife's at work right now, so you know, I'll just take the time while I can. Sorry, Jay. Yeah.
Sorry.
What are you saying sorry for?
Turning on your channel.
You know what? I don't care.
Okay. I'm glad you don't. Thanks, buddy.
No, because you'll understand in a couple of weeks. Trust me. I'm not saying no more. Just leave it at that for now.
Oh.
Do you get any trouble from Robo from watching your video last night with your walking lathe?
No, no. He didn't say anything to me. I knew he wouldn't.
Maybe he hasn't seen it.
He would have watched it. Trust me.
It was a rock and roll lathe. Well, I don't know about Ohio. We have a state site that says what Michigan is. I also got one at the VA. It keeps track of vets in Michigan. Well, February 1st, we had, it wouldn't be today yet, but yeah, for February 1st, we had 1,800 new cases for hospitalization. Well, in the county I'm in, Wayne County, which is the Detroit area, we had only 177 new cases hospitalized. And that's way down. The county above us, Oakland, is way up. In the city of Detroit, it went from 33 a week ago to 55 last week. But we are on the downward curve. They just opened schools up. But they don't have transportation supplied because they can't make the buses safe. So you got to find your way to school. or you can stay online, and they have for online school. Unfortunately, when they look at people my age, set 80 or my age in Michigan, well, it's dropped. 39% of the people die from it at that age, just in the last week. And 58% of the people 80 and above have died with it. Yeah, I hope he doesn't. It's not something that you want, particularly if you're a vet. You figure everything you had to go through and a bug gets you. That's what I've heard from quite a few friends that are vets. I've had 6 so far that I know from our VFW that were 70 and above that caught it, died from it. Yeah, I don't know how they classify what ill health is. All I know is that I take 19 pills a day.
How you going?
All right.
Did you get it finished?
Well, yeah, sort of.
Are you having a stress relief break?
No. Julie's going to try and put the rest of it together herself. It's all the shelves and everything got to go in now.
Oh, yeah.
So.
How you going, Sarge? How you going, Shay?
G'day, Shay. Sarge. No, today's definitely Tuesday, Shay. At least I damn well hope it is, or I'm in trouble.
Well, it's Tuesday where you are. We're still hanging on to Monday.
Oh, I know that. G'day, Mike. How are you?
Hey, Robbo, how are you?
Oh, g'day, Blair. G'day, Chris. Anybody else hiding in the background that I can't see?
Hey, Shay. Hey, Sarge.
I'm fine. Damn. What do you get extra benefits or something for that, Shay?
I could say something, but I would get into a lot of trouble.
Is she expecting a conjugal visit or something?
Sorry?
Nothing. I'll keep that
Said what? Oh, right, okay. She's a noisy little critter, isn't she? I'm sure if Freud was on this board, Shay, he'd read something into that thing as being a prisoner. Yeah, that's what I was referring. That's what I was referring to. They're feeling stuck at home.
Ice in it. Oh no, get the ice, the cup with the ice out of the freezer. Yeah, the first of the month is depressing for me, Robo,
Uh,
because I usually get the check for being a POW. I don't know if you can read that, but you can see how much I get out of it.
no,
Let's see. Yeah, not much, is it?
oh, whoopee doo. Geez, you could really survive on that.
Yep. But that's the check. Comes the first of the month.
Yeah. And Shay has said, of course, my husband didn't miss a beat, died laughing and told me to go drop the soap. God, he sounds just like me.
Oh, you never dropped. You
That's
dropped
funny.
the soap in the shower for your wife?
Yeah.
It's some interesting shower time parties. You could go live with that.
Oh, I must admit, when my wife and I were married, two of us could fit in the shower. These days, no hope.
Oh,
Oh, look out, folks.
And Blair, I liked your little toothpick holder that you did yesterday, but I'm going to yell at you anyway.
you said you would.
Go ahead.
That chuck key never leaves your hand. You leave it in the chuck so many times that one day you are going to have a serious accident.
Been there, done that, my friend.
Right, well, why do you keep doing it?
I don't know. It just, I don't know. I'm getting old, Alzheimer's, too much to drink.
G'day, John.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, it's a bad habit to get into, I tell you.
It really is.
Now, Mike, that's something what is fly? Mike's put in, someone fly tipped a cut up oak tree outside my allotment gates this morning. First time I've been happy to see fly tipping there. What is fly tipping, please?
How you going, John? It's not the same as fly shit on your face, like freckles or something?
No.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna jump out and then I'll get up in my bedroom and I'll be back.
Right out.
Okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Now I know what you mean. Yeah, we just call them a-holes in Australia.
Well, I've heard of it, but didn't know what it was either. Here.
And just to fill you in, Joe, fly tipping is when someone dumps random rubbish instead of disposing of it, usually avoiding the cost of disposal. Like I said, out here in Australia, we call them a-holes. No, it was a new term to me, and I'd never heard of it either. And if I've never heard of something, I always ask. So that I don't put it in an inappropriate place. Yeah, it's the same out here. They've raised the price of tip fees or dump fees so much that it's ridiculous.
In the city, that all comes in as part of our taxes, along with it's classified as utility, just like gas and electric is.
Yeah, no. Well, they pick up rubbish bins, but if you've got a lot of rubbish, you're supposed to take it to the tip here, and you pay a massive fee for getting rid of it. So most people do a midnight run and drop it off on the side of the road somewhere.
Yeah, we had that years ago, but now the city, all you have to do is give them a call. Doesn't matter if it's furniture, because the city council approved of a truck that, like a steak truck with sides, that actually had what'd they call it? A grabber. The guy sits on the back of the truck and he's got this claw that can reach over and pick up stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing that they only pick up on appointment are refrigerators, because they have to make sure that they're bled properly. And to save the atmosphere, if you've got one, they don't want it just someone to bleed it out and hide the fact. The city does it for nothing. They have a man that comes by, you call them, and then they'll take the refrigerator away.
Yeah, no, we have the same thing here. It's called a hard rubbish collection, and you can get the council to come and collect it. But there's certain rubbish that they won't pick up. Like they won't pick up demolition stuff or anything like that generally. But then you're supposed to hire a skip and put it in there. So, yeah, sorry, Chris has said, but instead of trash, they dumped wood. And Mike's answered him, yes. Took me all morning to stack it on my allotment plot. Oh, gee, you poor fella, Mike.
Well, I get my arborist and several neighbors pre-cut and leave me some beautiful logs. And they're nice enough to actually put it. We have a carport besides a garage, and they stack it up out there, and I'll just get up in the morning and it's sitting out there all piled up for me. And then I dope it up on both ends with a sealer and stack it up where my pile is behind my shop.
Yeah. Actually, it's been rather interesting. Like with COVID, there's been something like a 30% reduction in rubbish, because I talked to our garbage men here, and they've had a 30 to 40% reduction in rubbish because people aren't buying takeaway food or anything. When we're under lockdown, they weren't buying takeaway food or anything like that. So it was just normal packaging.
that's gone up because the takeaway, that business is booming for businesses that have had dining room service where they bring it up and there's several companies that'll deliver it to your door.
Oh yeah, they've got takeout service here too, but a lot of people suddenly realised that gee, it was cheaper to cook at home and eat at home.
But it always has been. That's the problem.
Oh, I know, yeah. Only discovering what we found out bloody 30 years, 50 years ago.
And some people just can't cook.
Yeah,
So
my sister.
what they know how to cook, they run out of in 2 weeks, and then it's, do we get the same old Thursday meal again?
No, my sister-in-law falls into the latter category. She can't cook. Only person I know that can burn water, I reckon. It's one of the few places I don't have a cup of tea at because she boils the kettle that many bloody times and she boils all the oxygen out of it.
Oh, yeah. People don't realize that happens.
Wow, Mike, really?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
Oh, no. That's probably amongst the younger age group, that would be quite common. Mike said, yep, I know a few people that have learned how to cook for the first time during lockdown.
Well, our now 14-year-old, but even at 13, because they just turned 14 a couple days ago, and he has gotten into cooking, but he loves grilling and stuff like that because it's something that he's wanted to do. So it's pretty handy. He at least once a week will fix dinner, but then he puts the grill on and he's turning steaks or burgers or something that he likes to make.
Yeah, grilling is definitely an art. You have to be on your game when you grill.
Yes.
You throw
In
a
the
piece
winter.
of meat on and let it think it's going to do it whatever.
In the winter, well, we've got the grill outdoors. We got a one that takes wood, and we got a gas one. But if it's only 3 people eating, it doesn't pay to heat them up. It's too expensive. So I got a cast iron one I can put on the center burner because the stove I bought has designed for a grill in the middle. It has that long burner that runs the depth of the stove, and fire it up, and I'll only cook on cast iron. It took quite a while to get the cast iron ready to use and do it right, but he loves cooking on it now. Can I cook? Steak,
I must admit I love my barbecue, which is a grill as well. Yes, Bailey or Chris, boil the oxygen out. That's what reacts with the tea to make it taste right. And if you boil a kettle and keep boiling it and boiling it and boiling it, you boil the oxygen out of the water and it can't react with the tea. And it just tastes bloody terrible. But coffee drinkers don't know that. They're used to drinking crap anyway, so no reaction from Jay in the bleachers there.
I wondered if he was going to say anything.
And then, yeah, that happened in our place just recently, actually, John. He always came out in the small, like he's on 5 acres, and he used to come out in his driveway to have all this crap, tyres and bloody batteries and crap and other stuff that's hard to get rid of. In the tip, and it would be stacked up on the side of his driveway. Anyway, he eventually tracked down who it was. He did the same thing, only he went around to a few of our farming. Good on you, Mike. He said, just grab it a cup of crap. Right. Anyway, he had a mate that had a huge truck, and he's got a front end loader, so they loaded it all up with a lot of other stuff from one of our local pig farmers.
Oh,
And they backed it right up to his front door and dropped it right on his front step. And when he came out to complain, he said, the next time you'll be in the dump truck as well. And he's never dumped rubbish in anybody's driveway again. Bloody mongrel arsehole.
right.
Hello. Hello, Eva.
Hi, Eva.
We've missed you. Why don't you join us? The link is above you.
Yeah, so, but anyway, kind of stitched him up. Took him about a week to clean it up, apparently.
Oh,
She's
you
got
got a toothache from hell. Not good. Sorry.
Yeah, no talking now. Geez, that. Eva, you sure that hell hasn't frozen over?
Oh, Robbo. Yeah.
That'd be like me doing a pen.
Oh, it's gone beyond insinuative.
Or using I can't even say it.
You shouldn't pick on the stutterer. You can pick on politicians, though. Not a stutterer. I mean, if you pay their wage, you can pick on them. That's part of the job.
And Eva says, yeah, can you believe I'm not talking? I look like a hamster.
Hopefully she's got
Her
an
teeth are
appointment.
probably just.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you're on some good drugs. I'm sorry, because that hurts.
I know. Yeah.
Three hazelnuts and 4 almonds.
Did you say something, Blair?
Yeah. Eva has a toothache. Having a toothache and not being able to do anything about it is almost as bad as either having an ear infection or a kidney stone.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, kidney stones are far worse than any of them, I tell you.
Amen.
I had one last year.
Yeah, don't laugh. That is the reason that I do not have wall phones in my premises. All of them are on desks, so as I can pull them off the desk if I have to ring somebody up. About 25, no, it'd been longer than that. 30 years ago, I was working away at about 2 o'clock in the morning in my workshop when I had the big workshop, and suddenly it felt like somebody had smacked me across the back with an iron bar, and I just went down like a sack on the floor, and I could not get up. I crawled to the office, and I had a wall phone in the office, and I had to knock the phone off with a broomstick, and then dial it with the end of the broomstick. The problem is that we're up a laneway, and they had to cut the gate. So I'm on the phone explaining to your equivalent of 911, which is triple O out here in Australia, how to get in. The fire brigade had to come and cut the gate to get the ambulance in there. And then, geez, I tell you what, I've never, ever felt pain like that before. So now I have desk phone, so I can drag the phone off the desk at least down to floor level. So, but I never want to experience that. I've had bad toothaches and I've had bad earaches, but that was the worst pain I've ever felt. And the doctor reckons it's the equivalent of a woman giving birth.
Yep,
So
that's what I was told. I've gone through 4 of them in my life.
Oof. Wow.
And 2 of them were a year apart to the day, and I didn't realize it until when I was in the hospital with it. The nurse was pulling the records for my doctor, and he walked in and he commented, "But we just discharged you." And then he got looking. Oh, that was last year, right to the day. But drugs are nice.
I'll tell you, when I was in the hospital, and I mean, they gave me some morphine, and I don't think I've ever had morphine ever, other than like when I had my wisdom teeth out. But they gave me that morphine, and life was good.
oh yeah.
Yep. But they wanted to get rid of it every time. The treatment was simple. The first time, they just stuck an IV in each ankle and one in each arm. And it was like, we're going to flush it out of you.
Did you feel like a puppet?
Well, in a way, that was in Alaska. And then a year later, the same thing. And then it went on and it stopped having it up until about 5 years ago. And I had another one, and I knew what it was right away. You know, once you've had it, you know what it's like. And I was in D.C. at the time. So I went in and I told them what was wrong, and they, oh, no, we have to run tests. We want to scan and see. And I said, well, I'll bet you what all the money I got in my wallet, that's what I've got. Well, you can't self-prescribe. And they believed me, so they gave me something for the pain. And that started it. I was harassing them. Well, I had a pool going between 3 or 4 staff on, taking bets who was right and who wasn't. Because I was high as a kite. Then they did a scan and they said, okay, we're sending you upstairs and we'll schedule you for surgery to take it out ultrasonically. They just break it up.
Yep. That's what they did with mine, was just break it up. But yeah, we're the same in Australia, Eva. You can't wear very lame drugs unless you see a doctor, but then it's still kind of lame, says Eva. We're the same here. You really only get good pain-killing drugs at the hospital. Or if you're an accident victim and the ambulance gives them to you.
Yes, I was joking with last time I had it and had the problem, and it was bad. My best friend took me to the hospital for it, and boy, that was something else. But once we were in the hospital, it was like the interns, and that's when they started saying that pot smoking was kind of allowed if you had a prescription. And I was joking to the doctor, how about a prescription? No. You don't need that. We got better drugs. But, they did the same thing. They went in and broke it up ultrasonically.
Yeah, that's how they fixed mine. Jay, why did you take the photo? Why did you take that out without parting off the top first?
Yeah, what is going on?
Yeah, I thought he was going to holler.
Take it out without parting it first.
Right. Wait on, Bob. Go on, Jay.
Well, I said what? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, sorry. Why did you take it off the lathe before parting off the top?
Because I wanted to take a nib off the other end first on the sander.
Oh yeah, okay, that's fair enough. What, are you going to put it back on again now, and then take the top off?
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
Rightio, okay. Shut up, Robbo. Piss off.
You're talking to yourself now?
No, I'm just repeating what Jay's thinking.
Oh. Well, he was being a mind reader last night with his walking lathe. Of all the things that you would be saying about the lathe vibration.
Oh no, I watched it at about 10 o'clock last night. Actually, that's why I know that Blair left his bloody chuck key in.
Yeah.
We
Well, I
have
haven't-
ways. We have ways and means.
What was that?
I said,
mate?
I said I watched it last night at about 10 o'clock.
Did you now?
Yeah, bloody oath. I've got to keep an eye on you people.
It was a good rock and roll show.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you did well. That's good.
Yeah. To be honest, I think Dr. Bob's waiting for you to yell and scream at me. What'd you do that for? Bloody hell! Aren't you, Dr. Bob? That's what you're waiting for.
Darling.
Yeah.
But I'm going to turn this back on the tape.
Uh-oh, look out. D9's
Hello.
coming back on.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Hi, sweet cheek.
Gosh, get a room, you two. Bloody hell.
Hey, Amber.
Hello, Blair.
Alright, I'm going back on mute now, and Amber's going very loud. Okay.
Whoa! John N says hello, Amber, as well.
Contact. I don't know what that means, Mike.
I don't either. I'm trying to work out whether he's trying to blow the place up or not.
Glad you did, Eva.
Yes.
Sorry, you're not doing well, though.
Yeah. It's no good. I know what you mean with toothaches.
Or they made contact with him. We won't go into any probing, will we?
No.
Monkey Butt told me Jace live.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happens when you get up from Sweden and Denmark, you get that far north.
Tell you what, do any of you guys have Netflix?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Netflix. It was
Hulu.
YouTube. If you do a search for, I think it was Norway, Norway 4K, they have got this absolutely stunning program, and it doesn't last very long. And all it is just scenic views of Norway.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Probably put out by the travel and tourism bureaus.
Now I know what Mike's on about. I thought Amber was starting up a light aircraft. Yeah, where you had to spin the old prop around and contact and make sure your hands are out of the way.
Were you talking to me, Robbo?
No.
Oh, that's all right then, because I couldn't hear a thing.
No, that's all right. No. Previously, Mike had said contact, and nobody knew what he meant. But he'd just heard Amber using the orbital sander, and he said, I thought Amber was starting up a light aircraft, you know, where you had to spin the prop around to get it primed. God, it's sad when you remember things like that. Yeah, exactly.
I always wanted to fly in one of those microlights.
We've got a big club down the road from us at the airfield that does ultralights and microlights, and they've got a parachuting school there as well.
So, fun fact, in Utah, actually kind of in my backyard, we have one of the most popular training hills for hang gliding and paragliding and all of that kind of stuff. During spring, summer, fall, there is just wind that hits this one hill, and it's just perfect almost all the time.
Have you tried any of them?
No, not yet.
It's a blast.
I'd like to. Now, jumping out of an airplane, that's a little different. No thanks.
Well, the first time is you need a push, encouragement. But after that, I have something like 106 jumps in my log before it got too expensive. But when I was in the first assignment in the military in Idaho at Mountain Home, I joined the club. It cost us each $5 or $10 a jump for our share of the fuel, and it wasn't a military plane. It was owned by the. It's a funny part in the military. It's technically it's owned by the government on loan to the military personnel to use for recreational sports, like a hockey rink or basketball court or stuff like that. But we had a couple of airplanes, and we had a lot of people, mostly the pilots that used to fly out of there, were the ones that jumped. And I got to know one of them real well, and he convinced me to go up and try it once. I did the ground school training. They had to push me out. He was behind me, and he gave me the shove. But I'll tell you, after you feel that pop and the world kind of stops, and you're kind of instantly in midair and you're floating, that is a fantastic feeling.
Right, just to go back a little bit to, g'day, Dan, I think it is, My Vicarious Life. Ultralight is legal in Michigan, no license required, whatever. Just buy and fly. And Eva, you should Google all them air sports from Norway. They're crazy. There's a special place in Norway. It's called Lofoten. Google that, and it gives you all and everything about Norwegian nature. And Mike says he used to go paragliding, went on an extended holiday to the Atlas Mountains, where up to us can reach 60 to 70 mile an hour. And Eva wants to know, you couldn't find any smaller saw, Jay, than that one. And I've always wanted to try one of those fly suits. I reckon they would just be the bee's knees. I'll tell you, if I was 40 years younger, I would be dead in 12 months with all the toys I've got to play with now.
We actually have a wind tunnel that's called iFly.
That'd be fun.
that it looks like a lot of fun. It's kind of expensive, but let's go up and down and around. And
For me, jumping, I prefer night jumps, but they're the most dangerous. And they're dangerous. You got to, of course, have your altimeter alarm on your pack. And it goes off to warn you that it's time to pull the cord.
Smoother than I
Because-
thought. I mean,
right.
smooth.
It is so peaceful and serene as you're coming down, you tend to forget time. Even though you have an altimeter on your wrist, it's a lot of people. More people die from hard landings from night jumps. So you have to wear an alarm. I know I've had it go off, but it's really fun.
John, that sucks. I'm sorry.
How you going, Dan? Yeah, that's pretty nasty. That'll make you definitely not want to jump out of a plane, that's for sure.
Bloody oath.
Yeah. Well, I learned in the military, and there you had to always carry a reserve on the front. No phones or bucks. So I just got used to it. Where most that learned non-military, they thought we were cowards.
Well, the biggest problem sometimes is the reserve chute gets tangled up in the main chute because it can't get rid of it.
Yeah, you got to clear the main first. But if you can't, you still pop the reserve because you don't want to. Well, you wouldn't remember the thud, that's for sure.
I realise that this may be in bad taste considering what John just said, but that's the only joke I've ever laughed at with Seinfeld. He said he could understand why racing drivers wore helmets. He could understand why motorcyclists wore helmets. He could understand why riot police wore helmets, but he could never understand why parachutists wore helmets. He said if they trained if their chute doesn't open, they turn upside down and land on their head so that they're compressed into the helmet, so you've got a nice carry basket.
Nice one.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm afraid that's the only joke I've ever laughed at it from Seinfeld.
Terrible. I'm with you, Robbo. I never really thought Seinfeld was funny. There was only maybe 3 episodes that I actually kind of liked watching.
Yeah, I used to like Kramer. Like, I've never watched many of his shows, but I thought Kramer was probably the best bloke on there. Like, he suited my personality.
Guys, I'll be right back.
No worries, Blair. Oh, here come the train!
Yeah. You'll be grateful they don't honk. They normally do a bloody honk their bloody horn right outside our units, just for the fun of it,
Oh, they see you out there, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hello, Silo.
It must be running pretty fast.
No, not really. It's a freight train, and it's maybe about 5 k's out from where it got loaded up. Got its carriages loaded up, so it's still gaining speed. And I think it only gets to a certain speed in the residential area anyway. It waits till it gets out into the open plains a bit.
John says he can put in a call if you like and put in a request for the horn. Ring South Australian Rail and say, listen, at this address, pull your horn button on.
Yeah. There you go. That was my response. Did you hear it?
That just happened to be this one. Alright, I'm done with that now. No more of that noise today.
And Dan says light horn, however, and Eva's saying honking outside my place are normal from 2 o'clock until 3:30.
Yeah, you know, I could see the fun in it. If I was a train driver and there was a whole heap of units there, I'd honk too, most probably.
And she goes on to say that all taxis and drunken skunks on the way home from work, pubs and nightclubs. And she says now with COVID it's been nice and quiet.
Yeah, I bet.
Yes.
No worries, John. John will be right back. Yeah, it was the same here during COVID. Geez, the road was fantastic. Like, we live on a major highway that carries a lot of sand trucks and things, and they were the only things running virtually, so no cars or anything during COVID. It was really, really cool. Roads were deserted. And Eva says, and a few women screaming like someone put a knife into them. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm the same. I don't get that screaming thing either. Eva?
Me neither, because it goes back to the old story of the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, my kids got out of that habit very quickly. I can't stand kids that squeal and scream.
Jade, did you want to maybe start a little smaller? It's up to you, but
What was that? Sorry?
you want to maybe use a smaller Forstner and then work your way up, or
Yeah, I suppose I
got
could.
pretty sharp?
Right. No. With twist drills and drilling metal, yes, you start with a small pilot hole and then work your way up. With Forstner bits, you start with the biggest and work your way down. Otherwise, because the little pin in the center of the Forstner bit centers it. Once you get rid of that center, the Forstner bit, in a lot of cases, can wander wherever it likes. So you drill, what I would do there is go down maybe an eighth or a half and quarter of an inch or so, and then get a smaller one, drill it out, and then put the bigger one back in and drill the outside part out. But you've got to have somewhere for the outer edge to rotate on. I see it so many times in woodworking, and I think to myself, why do they do it? Because without that little tit in the middle to locate it, the drill can go wherever it likes in a lot of cases. It's not too bad in something small like this, but if you had the drill on an extension, it could wander wherever it liked.
Yeah, Robo, I've cheated. It's a trick that was taught me years ago. When I have something like that, the hollow, I actually take a 1/8 inch. I've got a fairly long carbide type or hardened steel 1/8 inch drill that's, I'd say about 6 to 8 inches long. And I'll use a pilot hole for that center piece of the Forstner bit to ride in.
Yeah, that's
vibrating.
That's fine. An 1/8 inch is fine because the centering piece in the Forstner, but if you put a 1/2 inch or 3/4 bit down there, then
right. You can't do it.
You can't do it. But
no.
If you drill just a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch so that the outer rim of thing, and yes, I did, Eva. I said tit in the middle, and it has got a little tit in the middle of the Forstner bits. Except a couple of mine I've ground it off because I like a flat-bottomed hole in the bottom of it. Did you just wind the speed up or drop it down, Jay? Brought it up, good, right. Because it's a tungsten carbide bit and they work better at faster speed. Contrary to everybody's belief. Yeah, Mike, to a certain extent I agree piloting and forcing a whole bit, forcing a bit whole substantially reduces the force. But the problem is that everybody drills too big a hole and then the forcing a bit can't centre properly. And then it just turns into a boring bar.
It's been probably 15, 20 years ago I was taught that trick.
Yeah. Yeah, flies look the same the world over, Eva.
And the person that taught it to me was a plumber.
Yeah.
Because he knew where the center of the pipe had to be. So he'd drill a little hole to center the Forstner bit. Otherwise, it would often walk on him, and then that poses another problem if you're drilling for pipes through floors or through beams.
Oh, it causes a lot of problems. In some things you don't end up with an inch hole, you end up with 2-inch hole.
Yeah.
It keeps stopping. I had a beer for about a month of Sundays like this, so I'm just going to put a smaller bit in there now.
This is the next
Stuff
one
it.
down, 45.
No, I'll just use this one for now.
That's what I
Depends.
did with that apple piece that I just finished. I had to go small and then work my way up. I couldn't put that big of a Forstner in it. It just wouldn't turn.
I know where you're coming from, Robbo, but it just keeps stalling on me, and I've turned it up to two extra speeds than what it was. So.
No, I don't think so either. They can't do it over the phone dental appointment for a toothache.
Nice one. Now, ma'am, grab this tool and rip your own tooth out. This may hurt a little bit. Get some string.
No, not that one. It's the next one over.
Get some string and tie it to the doorknob and slam it really hard.
Chris is asking me, how do you sharpen the Forstner bit?
Yeah, Chris, you can sharpen Forstner bits generally with a small stone or something like that, but all mine are tungsten carbide, so I actually send them away to be sharpened because they have to be sharpened on a diamond stone.
Or CBN. That'll do it.
No, CBN should never be used on tungsten.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Eva says that she can put a cam in her mouth if she wanted to. I'm sure she can put a lot of things in her mouth.
Keep that line up, you'll liable to have an international censor.
Yeah, the shavings do get interesting from that drill, Eva. They get really interesting from a 4-inch force in a bit, I tell you. Eva just told me to shut up. Jay?
Well, she could have given you the finger salute too, but that's why she's not on cam.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's pretty fair to say she can live far. She lives far enough away to do that.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm just letting the bit cool down a little bit. So
Yeah, Eva just said it looks a bit hot.
yeah, they're smoking.
That's a dead giveaway. It's too hot.
Uh-oh.
You're just burning the wood up.
Yeah. Smells nice.
Are you sniffing wood again? Or still?
Yeah, still.
"15 centimeters of snow? That's a lot."
Yeah, we still have like almost nothing.
Got probably a half-inch here left. A lot of it's just because the problem is it's late in the season, but the temperature shift has left the ground warm. It's now the ground is getting cold enough so its snow stays.
Oh, we haven't had any out here, thank goodness.
I hope not. No snow in Michigan.
Well, it's not snowing. We still got it on the ground in the Detroit area.
Yeah, you're right there, Mike. Mike says he sharpens his Forstner with a little diamond files, but it's pretty time consuming.
I find it relaxing. Maybe it's just me.
Oh, I've got a friend that enjoys sanding, so different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
Yeah. I'll sit and watch TV and use my CBN card. I put my thumb to where it should be for an angle I want, because between the edge and my thumb is fairly on level, and I'll put it on and just sharpen it that way. So many strokes on one side and then on the other.
Oh, my thumbs don't work too well for doing that. They're kind of bent.
That'll do it. Probably from playing with those roulette wheels.
No.
It gives a new meaning to let it ride.
No, never played roulette. Come to think of it, I don't play many card games or any games of chance too much because I'm too bloody unlucky.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really like to gamble. If ever, any time that we go through Vegas or someplace, there's a place near us called Wendover. If we're going to do anything, I'll play 21 and I've got $20 in my pocket, and if I lose it, I'm done.
Yeah, well, that's the way I go. My wife enjoys going to, we call them pokies out here, and with her mother, and it's a good day out for them. They get a free lunch because of the money they put through, but they only have a limit of about $20 each. When that's gone, they've gone, and that's the same with me. Like, I'll walk in, $20 or $30, whatever it is I've set the limit at. If I win, I leave. If I lose it, I leave. Simple as that.
Thanks for coming in, Chris. Take it easy.
Hey, see you,
Yeah,
Chris.
good night, Chris.
Yeah, I've been that way all my life, except the first couple times when I was young and end up losing half my paycheck.
Yeah. I had a friend that used to raffle off his wages.
No.
I know. Well, he was paid about $200 a week. He sold 40 tickets at $20 each. So the winner got $200. He ended up with a fortune.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm trying to work out what you're saying there, Eve. I had a friend once who said if you cut a sont in two with a grinder, you get a very fine sharpener.
Yeah, I noticed that watching one of the movie channels on TV today had more ads for casino gambling and gaming, and I've never seen them on TV before, at least broadcast. Cable, that's been different, but they're pushing the casinos and stuff on local TV. Even though it's cable, it's insert advertising. And I didn't know it had legalized it here.
No, we got a casino in Melbourne as well. A big casino, probably the biggest in Australia.
Well,
you must have. Sorry, Bob, Mike. You must have been supplying the machines, were you?
My problem is I've seen too many people spend their family's grocery money as rent money. And it's caused friends of mine to actually have families break up because of gambling.
Yep.
Then
Same
they got
here.
to figure out who they give the kid to raise because they can't afford to raise their own 4-year-old. But it's an addiction. A psychological addiction.
Many years ago, I had a customer that we put a new motor in his VW, and he was 4.5. Yeah, I agree, Mike. Put a new motor. It was $4,500 worth in his Volkswagen just before Easter, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'll be in on Thursday to pay you." That was Good Friday Eve. Anyway, he didn't come in, and I rang him up, and he said, "Oh look, I'm sorry." He said, "I'll be down shortly." And anyway, he didn't turn up, and I knew he was leaving on Good Friday at 4 o'clock in the morning. So when he came out to leave, I was standing there with my suitcase on his roof rack. And he said, "Oh, what's going on?" I said, "Well," I said, "you're going on holidays on my money by the look of it." I said, "So I thought I might as well come along and have a break." And he said, "Oh, no." And he said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, look," he said, "I've got 3 kids and wife and everything, and it's only a 5-seater car." I said, "Well, you're going to have to leave one of your kids at home or the wife. I don't care which." I said, "But I'm coming with you." Anyway, he argued and carried on a bit. His wife came out. Now, his wife always used to drop the car off, so she knew him pretty well. She said, "Oh, g'day, Robbo, what's going on?" I said, "Well," I said, "we put a new motor in the car, and your husband was supposed to pay for it yesterday, and he didn't turn up, so I thought I'd come on holidays with you. Soon as you're going on my money." Well, I've never seen a woman fire up like this one did. She went beet red, And the language would have done a Wharfie proud, I tell you. And she abused the up and down, woke the neighbours up. This was 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
Woke
my.
the neighbours up in the driveway and everything. And anyway, she said, I gave you that money to pay Robbo. Now, what have you gone back to bloody betting on the horses again, haven't you? How much you owe this time? She said, your bag's packed. Now piss off.
Wow.
Apparently she'd given him she'd given him about 5 chances. And she said this was the last time. She said she got tired of people ringing up and claiming money, people knocking on the door, debt collectors. They repoed the car once and everything else, you know.
It's an addiction, and some people just cannot help themselves.
Oh, that's
But
right.
That's not an excuse. It's a symptom and it's a disease.
Anyway, she came round to work on the Saturday and she said, apologised profusely about the thing. And she said, look, she said, I haven't got the money at the moment, but can I pay you off? And I said, yes, of course. And give her a due, she did.
I don't even play lotto.
Me neither.
I've got states around me that do lotto, and it's like, nah, no thanks.
We've had the same ticket now for, well, my wife and I have been married for 38 years. We had the same ticket for 38 years, same numbers, and it's $5 a week or something, so we don't worry much about it. But our numbers have never come out in 38 years, so that was it. But what we did at work one day, I had 23 mechanics working for me. We put a blackboard up. Now, the biggest numbers you can take are 15 numbers in a block, right? We put the numbers up on the blackboard. Over 18 months, we did not win a prize. That was just a hypothetical thing, you know, just to see what had happened. And that ticket would have cost about $1,200 or $1,500.
Wow.
Well, statistically, the operator wins.
Oh, of course. They wouldn't be in it if they didn't.
Right. It's a profit for somebody, and it's not the player.
Now, if you really want to feel crook, I had a friend that used to operate the security cameras in our casino here, the Crown Casino, and every now and again they'd track people through the casino because of some crinkles on the back of their neck. The Asians here use the casino for laundering money in a lot of cases, which is the police are aware of it. And they tracked this bloke. He did not leave that casino for 4 days and went through $4.5 million.
Good heavens.
Yep. And he said that's not uncommon with some of them.
Be nice to have 1 year's worth of his income.
Would be, wouldn't it?
We could start our own country somewhere. Just
And the
for
thing-
wood totally.
Yeah, the thing is that the casinos encourage it too because they give them special accommodation and special limo rides and this and that. Yeah, I reckon I'd be the same, Mike. Mike had just said someone I worked with a while back had the same number for years. He went on holiday and forgot to put his numbers on the week that came up. He was almost suicidal. There's been a lot of arguments where they've had syndicates, like it works and things like that, where the numbers have come up and somebody hasn't put in their dues for that week and they haven't paid. And They think they're entitled to having it.
Yep, but they're not.
No, they didn't put their money in, so it's not.
People seem to forget the only person that wins is the house.
Of course. I'll be back in a few minutes. You're going well on that, Jay.
You and me both.
Just remember you got screws coming in from the bottom, all right? Don't ask me how I know.
All right, Eva. Hope you get feeling better. Take some drugs. Have somebody knock you out, whatever it takes. But I do hope you get feeling better soon.
Thanks for coming in, Eva. Take it easy. Well, I know you'll take it easy because you're sore, but besides that,
Sorry to hear about it. It'll get better.
when the dentist gives you some drugs, tell him they're not working. You need more. You need double the dose, all right?
Well, if it's cold and slippery, you're liable to slip and fall and knock it out.
So you guys know Kim Tippin, right?
Yeah.
She did an Instagram a couple days ago. Did you see that with her hand?
No.
She, I guess a little while back, she hurt herself doing something on the lathe or whatever, and it like really hurt. Anyway, months and months, and she thought she just had like this big scar, and she goes, that's really weird. And so she actually just kind of started digging around and digging around. She ended up pulling a splinter out of her knuckle about that big.
Wow.
Ooh.
And it was in there for months.
Bloody hell. Nasty, the old splinters, aren't they? Especially when your body tries to heal over it.
It is. It's interesting that, our bodies will encompass something and, try to make everything normal.
Yeah.
I know, there's tribes in Africa that they'll put like little stones under their skin and everything's fine.
That's the immune system. Something we take for granted.
Yeah, good night, Eva.
How big?
Flathead. Head that was screwed.
I don't know. The big one? I took it back to the shop because you left it here. It's on the workbench. You need shoes on if you're going to go outside in the snow.
Nah, you don't need shoes.
No, he's young.
You know, it blows my mind. Even with my kids and my stepkids, and you know, it's dead of winter, could be snowing, and they go to school with no coat.
Yep.
What's wrong with you?
Yep. Get it here too. I just don't like to find my tools laying around. So if they're laying around for a couple of days, I go put them back. That way I know where they are. I keep a cheap set of screwdrivers and pliers and stuff like that in a utility drawer in the kitchen that anyone can take and abuse.
Or lose.
Yeah, because they're cheap. They're dollar store tools. Mine are all Craftsman, so if they damage, I just go get another one. Because Craftsmen still have their tool guarantee. If it breaks, you get a new one. They're guaranteed for life. On any of their tools.
Jay, Mike is asking, how deep is that? And he says he's asking because I fancy making 6 to 7 deep vase and wonder if need hollowing tools. Robo, you want to answer that one? I can answer
Yep.
it.
I can answer it too. No, you don't.
It's 108 mil.
So pretty deep.
If it's a vase, now if you're doing a hollow vessel, that is a different kettle of fish. But just a vase that comes down hollow all the way through with a wide opening in the top, you can just as easily do it with the tools that you've got, really. Hollowing tools are nice to have, but for something like that, it's not a necessity.
Yeah, Robbo, can you see this
Go look.
this bit here where I haven't put any Yorkshire or anything? I've actually taken it down about half an inch lower than the rest of it.
Yeah.
So because I measured how deep the screws were going to be.
Yeah.
And I've taken it down so it's only about half a centimetre off the actual diameter of the faceplate.
Yeah, right here.
So,
Well, you can just part that off anyway.
yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't feel like making a 4-hole funnel.
No. No, the worst part is when the tip of the tool hits the end of the screws, because the screws really knock the crap out of the end of the tool.
Yes, I can imagine.
I can say I've done that a couple times too.
I think we've all done it.
And you just learn from it.
Well, some people learn from it, some people don't.
Yeah, some people leave that chuck key in, and you know.
Yeah, I know. No, I must admit, Blair, I'm pretty hot on that because I've seen a bloke killed because of it. And unfortunately, it wasn't the operator that was killed. Well, I know that sounds terrible, but no, it was a bloke working behind him.
Oof.
Hit him right in the side of the head, right there, and he was dead before he hit the floor.
Oof.
Like a gunshot it was. So I always have a rule that it never leaves my hand, even if I'm the only person in the workshop.
And surprise, surprise, he walked out and knew exactly where it was because I put it away.
Ah.
And he forgot to turn the lights off. Teenagers. I am just tempted to put a motion control on the light for the yard. That would probably be the cheapest way of living. I've got my shop 90% voice controlled, so I don't have to walk over to turn something on and off. Maybe I'm just lazy, but it's easier that way because a lot of the stuff is buried. And it's easy because even if I forget, I have the capability in any room that I live in and function in to just turn them all off or use my phone to turn everything off. Or set a default timer that it's off by a certain time, the whole shop at once. That's a problem when you get old. You forget. And you forget that you forgot, and that's the worst part. Then you get yelled at. And since you forgot about it, you didn't do it, right?
You're muted, Robbo.
I know, because I'm not talking to you like I'm talking to my friend there beside me.
And only Robbo can see that, friend. It's a special friend.
Oh, yeah. I like the motion control.
Just to prove a point that I'm not talking to myself, there you are. So get stuffed.
Wondering what happened.
All right, gentlemen, looks like Tammy just got home, so I will be exiting out. You guys have a very good evening.
All right, thanks for coming in, Blair. Take it easy.
Yep.
No, when I'm out in the workshop, I talk to myself, I must admit.
But I do find a lot of the Broadway shows that I've always enjoyed and shows that I've done when I was younger as a techie. I prefer musicals, always have, though I can't hold a tune. I'll sing that while I'm working in the shop. There's no one else around.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Like I've been known to dance across the workshop and do all sorts of weird things sometimes.
And the thing that amazes me is that you don't think that you know all the music. And it just, the other day I was busy doing some stuff, and next thing I knew it, I was stopped to think, well, what's the next song from the album? And I had totally forgotten because it was just the music that was playing. That's all I asked for, is not the Broadway show, but the music from.
Mm.
And I got 2/3 through Phantom of the Opera and lost my place. And then the other thing, I like a lot of the classic sci-fi movies. I don't know, like I'm a Whovian. I like Doctor Who, and I got almost all of the episodes that I've collected them, and I've got them both audio and video copies.
Yeah, I must admit I never got into Doctor Who much.
Well, I liked it because it was fantasy of the future. And when he started traveling to other worlds and stuff, then it was interesting. I enjoyed to see what BBC Workshop could do to come up with scenery for it. And Doctor Who, for the first, a lot of it, I forget what they call it now, before BBC put the money in to do it right. If you look closely, when they slammed the door, you could see the walls move. You'd see it today on high def, but early you'd have to really look for that because they only used the set once or twice. And those are, if you're a true Whovian, that's what you catch.
Yeah, I must admit they're the only ones I've ever seen, Dan, with Tom Baker. Probably the reason I never saw it was we didn't have video recorders or anything, and I was always working until 8 or 9 o'clock at night anyway, so. And it was on at 6 o'clock in Australia. Because it was considered a kid's show.
I agree. I like Tom. There's several that I've really enjoyed how they've interpreted the Doctor. Having a female Doctor, I'm not a sexist, but I don't know. I didn't think she was cunning enough and blasé enough about the capabilities that the Doctor has. And all the other Doctors weren't as blasé as she played it.
We're still an interesting way that they brought in each new doctor that it was actually in the storyline, you know.
Yep. And you never knew when unless it was leaked by the station. I've got the first, I got all the black and white ones I bought as a collector's item years and years ago on DVD at a Who convention, Doctor Who convention.
All right, I'm going to put the kettle on. I'll be back in a minute.
Jay, that's what we need to try to get. If you know when his birthday is to get him an electric kettle for his shop.
Oh, he's got one in there. Just he doesn't keep it in with his computer and stuff, that's all.
Oh, okay. Well, then the next best thing is a Hurry Hot unit.
A what?
Always like it's an electric kettle in essence, but it heats the water instantly as you turn it on.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Train. Yes, it is. I agree with that. And there's a movie that I think you'd like. You'd have to look it up on YouTube because it's there. And that's the Four-Sided Triangle, black and white, 40s movie. And it's a good sci-fi movie, but you won't know it's sci-fi until you're probably a third into it. And the thing is that the sci-fi theory on it is a love triangle, and that's what you originally see in the movie, a fancy love triangle between two guys over one girl, except they're inventors and they actually build a cloning device. Well, actually, they talk about something that hasn't been done, and that's being able to do faxes, of which hadn't been really invented yet. It was on the back burner, and scientists were playing with the ability of doing it. They had done it very crudely earlier in history, in the late 1800s, but it was all dots put together, synchronized one at a time between a dot and a non-dot, like you would a printer today. But they actually invent a cloning machine, a photocopier, we call them, but not in the movie because they hadn't used that term yet. It hadn't been invented. And they invent a duplicator. They take it one step farther. If they can send pictures back and forth, how about a girl? But they never damage the picture you start with. So the same theory is take the one girl that they both love and make a copy of her, one for each of them. Then it becomes interesting in how they handle the moral dilemma, the writer, because you can see several lines going off at that point of time in the movie, storylines and lines of thought that I think you'll enjoy. The Four-Sided Triangle, black and white, it's on YouTube. The other, if you like sci-fi, uh, there's a very classic, and I think it's on YouTube now too. It was for a while, about 10 years ago, and someone pulled it off, but it has been well beyond any reasonable copyright. And what it is it's a Marx Brothers, and it's just before they died, and and they were still all alive, and they were in a silent movie, and it was hilarious, and it was about a bank robbery, and they were building a duplicate of a police car so they could get away with it and painting it and all. And I won't tell you about that catastrophe, but it was hilarious. But one of the Marx Brothers, as usual, never talked, never spoke in any movie, anywhere, anything in broadcast. An interview was different, a formal interview, but never in a skit. Except in this, it was GE Theater, Sunday night theater, hour shows in the 50s, where he actually speaks. And it's the only time he ever did it in history. And it was GE Theater. And Harpo actually had, I won't say how much or what he said, but he actually spoke on camera. It wasn't a voice in the background. And that's a classic you should find. Marx Brothers and GE Theater in the 50s. Robo, as a kid growing up, did you follow Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon?
Oh, yeah.
Comics?
No, I never bought the comics of them. I was a Phantom fan.
Oh.
I had
Did you go
over.
to the movies, though, to see them, or on TV, Flash and Buck?
They're on the Saturday matinee at our theatre.
Yep.
But no, I was a Phantom fan. In fact, I had over 600 copies of the Phantom comic, dating right back years and years and years, and I gave them to my granddaughter, believe it or not, because she was interested in them, and I figured I'd like them to be read by somebody, so that'd be good. G'day, Yarpy, how are you?
How you going, Yappy?
Oh, a lot better now that I've scored a heap of brownie points, Yarpy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up Electric Dreams because I subscribe to the BBC for TV and that online. I pay their watch anything as often as I want program because I loved a lot of the BBC and I love their sense of humor in a lot of the shows. Like, are you being served? You remember that, don't you?
Bloody oath I do. Now, Yarpy, why? Because I've just finished assembling a big cabinet for my wife, who has been waiting a few years to buy one. She bought a big craft cabinet for herself, so that was her birthday present to herself. My birthday present to her was assembling it when she asked me to, instead of waiting 6 months. So I scored brownie points.
Robo, what was your favorite comic or Saturday matinee feature character?
Hard to say, really. I can't remember much about this. I can tell you what my favourite show was at the theatre. Like, the best show I ever saw at one of the theatres was How the West Was Won. And
Oh yeah,
that was 4 hours long, and it was done over was done on 3 screens, which absolutely fascinated me, with 3 projectors running at once. Friend of mine's father was the projectionist at the theatre where we used to go, and when he found out I was interested in all that sort of crap, he used to let me come up into the projection room, and I used to find that pretty interesting.
yeah, called VistaVision.
That's the one.
Yep, My Fair Lady was done in that too.
Yeah. No, it was. I forget that actually. Well, we used to have Roy Rogers. He was one of them, and the Lone Ranger was another one. Radio. 4 o'clock in the afternoon was always 15 minutes of 15 minutes of serials, 5 minutes, 3 a night they used to be. Hop Harrigan was one of them. Flash Gordon, I think, was another one. I'm trying to think who the other one was. But I think it might have been the Lone Ranger. But no, used to get home from school, sit down and listen to the radio, and then get kicked out of the house.
Yep, me too. Because, well, with us, with the old radio shows, we used to stay up and listen to them before we had a TV. We'd all sit around the living room and listen to them.
Yep, same in our
Big
place.
old black radio that had a little eye in it that would flicker, you know, to help you tune the station.
No, we used to get home from school, and then get changed out of our good clothes into our muckabout clothes, have something to eat and something to drink, and listen to the radio serials, and then at 4:15, right, go out and play. Don't want to see you until tea time at 6 o'clock.
I'll tell you one that really, it sticks in my mind, and I've got a couple of copies of it. I was able to dig up and keep. Was one that my mother told me about, and grandmother used to talk about, and how they were embarrassed over it. And it was H.G. Wells' Theater. The episode is War of the Worlds.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that was...
And people believed it was real.
Oh, yeah. They didn't in Australia.
A neighbor of my grandmother actually jumped off the roof of her house because she thought that they were coming, but they lived near an airport. And they never used the airport at night except for emergency landings. It was Detroit City Airport. And the only thing that they had to use was the rotating beacon, and they'd turn it on at night from the tower. And you could see it if it was overcast because it would reflect in the clouds. And of course, I wasn't there or anything, but that's what's been explained, that's why the neighbors saw it and thought it was a flashing light in the sky from the Martians that were really landing. People thought it was real.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Yappy. No, I don't have that problem around our place. Yappy says you are lucky. Me, on the other hand, don't do the scoring anymore. My wife needs to score brownie points with me.
I'm done turning for today.
Well, you've been at it for 2.5 hours, 2.25 hours, so.
Yeah. And we'll catch you tomorrow night when you finish it.
Yep. Hopefully, yep.
Well, you've got that and the lid to finish. Unless you sneak out tomorrow morning early and don't let anyone know.
No, I won't do that.
That is such a pretty piece of wood, though.
It's different.
Yeah.
Hey, Robbo, question, right?
Yeah.
All that black stuff only appeared after I laved off all the bark and stuff. Is that just because of the little bit of moisture that was left in it?
Probably. I really don't have any idea.
It's
Well,
even gone since yesterday, even.
Yeah. You haven't had it near any metal filings. It hasn't been sitting near the grinder or something, has it?
No. No.
If it was humidity, you'd find it in other open grain pieces that you've been doing. You'll know tomorrow because you just cut the lid off, and if you see any of that come in around the rim of your lid, of the body of the, then you'll know it's moisture.
Yeah.
If it's just on the lid, when you remount it and check it for sanding, it might be something that was just on it at the time that you didn't notice that caused it. Or it could just be part of what grew in the wood.
Yeah, it's a little bit there too.
Oh, well, it could be something in the timber.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you haven't waxed it, have you?
I've put Yorkshire Grit on it, and that's it so far.
Because one of the things that you have to be very careful for your own use, if you have a chlorine-based bleach, you use in laundry for whitening.
Yep.
A little on a small rag and put it on the wood to kill any fungus that might be there, and then sanding it, it should go away. If it is a fungus that it's picked up from the air.
Yep. I think because it was a little bit moist still too. I thought it was completely dry, but it wasn't.
All right, good night, Mike.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming in, Mike. Take it easy.
Yeah. Well, you'll know tomorrow morning.
Yes. All right, I'm going to knock it on the head, everyone. Thanks for coming in.
Yep. Take care.
All right. Catch you all later.